Hello, and welcome to Inches and Cubes, a Warhammer 40k podcast presented by Encounter Wargaming. Our fearless hosts are me, Paul Mr. Fist Fowler,
Point and click Nick Kozlo,
and
Adam Truax, the truest axe to ever axe an axe.
And we'll be guiding you through our favorite parts of the hobby, so grab your cubes and come with us. Hey guys, welcome to episode 11 of Inches and Cubes. If you want to go back and check last week's episode, we did a nice recap of what we've learned since 8th edition dropped, with an eye towards tactics and strategy and how we apply that. But coming up this week, what we're doing is talking about how to plan an event with a specific focus towards the doubles event that we just ran this weekend. So buckle up, I guess.
Gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So hopping right in there, hobby progress. Nick, what you got done?
Well, I have you written down here first, Paul.
Oh,
but I guess I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm trying to be magnanimous.
Yeah, so today, being Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
I did a little fiddling around. I put together a bunch of plasma havocs for my Chaos Army. During the doubles event, I saw some very effective use of plasma gunners and the rerolling ones bubble and the overcharge, and realized I need to get me some of that.
Nick's never someone not to steal a good idea.
Yeah. So that was one of the things I did today. And then the big hobby progress was my 1 o'clock in the morning hobby meltdown. Was it the night before the tournament? No, it was the Thursday night before the tournament. I had spent all day just getting this Death Watch librarian ready to go. Finish him up around 12:30, 1 o'clock, take him outside, go to prime him, and I guess it was humid out, bottom of the, not
Sealing.
priming, sealing him with some acrylic archival spray, bring him back inside, and it looks like someone sprayed liquid latex all over him, and he was wearing, like, skin mask.
Can you use the exact descriptor you used earlier?
I said it looked like someone had stretched a condom over my model really, really tight. And then as I went to scrape it off, I was using a pick, like a floss pick, and the sealer is solvent. So the minute I tried to strip it off, it just like ripped off his face, and I'm looking at bare plastic. I'm like, oh, that's 6 hours of my life never going to get back. Had a little bit of meltdown, threw him into the stripper.
You stripped the whole thing?
Yeah, I stripped him.
Oh, you got mad.
I got mad. I threw him into the stripping container. Next morning I woke up, scrubbed him, primed him, painted him right back up, and got him ready for Saturday's tournament.
Now you used to call me a priming diva, because I'd be like, it's too humid to prime, can't prime, bad priming weather. And you guys be like, oh, Paul's so particular with his priming.
I told you it was the bottom of the can.
Because
I did 2 other models, and they turned out fine. I did the Razorback and the Vanguard Veteran. The Librarian was the last model.
Same night?
Yeah. Yeah, same night, within half an hour of each other.
Don't believe it.
Okay, I'm just making shit up then, Paul.
So is that all your hobby progress? You're 2 steps forward and 1 step back?
Yep.
All right. Oh, what you got there?
So Paul and I made a little outing this afternoon. We went down the street to the Indian Ale House and picked up some Broken Hipster, which is a traditional Belgian wit made with botanicals and spices to produce a light and refreshing yet complex wheat beer.
I'm so excited. I've had this one before. It's fantastic.
It's originally made for the warmer months, but we make it all the time because we can.
Yeah.
Is that what it says on the label?
Yeah.
Broken hipster is what I was calling myself after I shaved my beard.
It's true. So if you guys are ever in the Junction, which is where I live, I highly suggest you check out Indie Ale House. They have some of the best brew house food and some
that fried chicken.
Really good beer.
Fried chicken is the meal that I will eat when they execute me. Not like
if it's from India House.
No, anywhere. It's
Okay,
like it is
good
my
stuff.
favorite. Notice that I said when they execute me, not before my execution. That's how I'm going to request to die. It's like, all right, I'll go, but I'm eating fried chicken till I die. You can set up a window and watch.
They now
you
have
go.
Shanghai style fried chicken.
Shoot. So getting back to our main topic of Warhammer, how about you, Adam? You got any hobby progress you worked on?
Yeah, so I actually remembered after we took all our notes, one thing that I didn't add here was I helped Justin paint his army because it got to the Thursday night before we had to take the long trip out to a special place, so we'll tell you about later.
The farm upstate.
And so, yeah, we were up till 2 in the morning, and I was just slapping layers of base coats and washes on Poxwalkers and other such things.
Yeah, he showed me at the turn. He's like, "This Rhino took 20 minutes with an air
Predator? Yeah. It was 25 minutes.
Yeah.
He is probably one of the most pumped guys about stuff he's pumped about. Like, it's infectious to see that guy excited.
Yeah. And then, so my own stuff, the same night, I did a bunch of work on my Luna Wolf Primaris Reavers. And then was just, like, so tired that I couldn't work on them anymore. And that's why in the car ride, I was like, Paul, I don't want to paint these Friday night.
Can I change my list?
Yeah.
Oh, you allowed a last-minute list change.
I did, but he told me what he was changing,
Did you tell him about any of the missions before?
I did not.
Okay.
I told no one about the missions.
Yeah.
If I had,
And even if you would have, I would have forgot.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just giving Paul a hard time. It's his first time being a TO.
Yep, I learned some things. You'll hear about that later in the podcast.
Oh, yeah, and I finished the Orc commission for Mini Wargaming. But that's not for me. So.
It still counts, because the hobby progress I made is working on those vampire ladies that I'm working on for a commission. I think I talked about them last episode. They're coming along really nicely. I worked up the blue. I find P3 has a really good navy recipe with the Signars.
Yeah.
So if you go basically one below that into their
machine.
into their like blue range, you can get like this beautiful, like not extreme highlight, but like hard highlight navy. I really like it for dark stuff like the vampires. The skin tone is super fun to do. I'm doing all the undead with like pupilless eyes, so it's just like a black field with just like a white dot, and it looks kind of spooky. I played around with some ideas with their hair. I was telling Adam, I tried to do like those pink powdered wigs, like in Amadeus or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And I just could not get it right.
You have to get like a weird cotton candy type color and consistency.
And I think I would have been able to do it with glazes, but then I was like, do I really want to spend 6 hours on hair? And after the long night of the soul, I was like, no, I do not.
You spend 20 minutes on hair and you paint the rest of it.
Yeah. So I just did Betty, Veronica, and Cheryl Blossom, for those of you that read Archie comics. Or watch Riverdale, I guess. But, aside from that, that's what I've been working on. Again, Primaris Marines are backburnered. I keep vacillating between painting them as Imperial Fists and maybe a second founding. I know.
I have seen so many. People are doing, like, Howling Griffins, Celestial Lions, Rift Walkers. There are some great second founding Primaris stuff out there right now.
I feel like all the veteran players that are getting their hands on Primaris are like, do I dare do that chapter that I've always meant to do, but never had the models?
Yeah.
Like, couldn't justify adding them to my existing list or starting a new one. But if you're doing a second founding of your chapter, like, roll on, dude.
Connor was talking about doing the Sons of Medusa with that, like, bright green scheme, and it's like, that's gonna look so cool. Maybe you should go for Howling Griffins and do the quartered scheme and really, really hate yourself.
Oh, yeah, no, just, you know what? I'm gonna turn down the difficulty level on yellow and do a quartered yellow. So you just don't want to have your friend Paul around.
No.
Because I will just put rocks in my pockets and walk out into the lake. So that's my hobby progress. So I think we can move right on to games played.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, who you got written down? I think it's me.
It's you, because you have the least.
I do have the least. I've only got 2. So my first game that I'm going to talk about was the most recent game that I played for our league. It was a fascinating game, shall I say. I played Gwyn and a Horror Tendrils list. For those of you that don't know, Horror Tendrils make good use of the horror demons, usually pink horrors. When you kill one, they can split into 2 demons. And when you kill one of those, they split into 2 other demons.
So did you feel like Mickey Mouse?
Yeah, it was Fantasia. It was upsetting. The rest of her list was the Changeling, then 2 Demon Princes, and then half the points set aside for summoning. Or like around half the points. It was a brutal game. It's a fascinating list to play one time. I don't think I would have fun playing it twice. mainly because I did the math, and from a unit of 10 horrors, you have to do 70 unsaved wounds. They have a 5-up invulnerable save. They're -1 to hit if they're near the change lane, and where they're -1 to hit, Tesla doesn't trigger.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, because it's
you hit on
it's a
7
6.
after.
Yeah, it's a 6+, but if it's -1, it's only a 5.
Get your overlord on that.
Can't do it.
Done.
Can't do it to a vehicle.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. It was really frustrating to play. It's an interesting list to play because what they do is as they split, they move towards you. So they're putting coherency closer and closer and closer and closer to you. So they're always moving towards you.
Hence the tendril.
You're conga lining them.
Mm-hmm. So eventually, after one turn of shooting, odds are they're 1 inch away from you or a little over 1 inch. Their next turn, they assault you, and you either have to fall back or just you're in assault with them, and they just keep splitting and splitting and splitting. It's crazy to play against.
All the while casting smite.
Smite all over the place.
Yeah.
Being in combat with them doesn't shut that down. I don't know what the counter to them is.
So here's something interesting. A pair of brimstone horrors is 1 model. So 10 would turn into 20. So
Yeah.
you'd have 30 wounds, and then those 20 would turn into another 20. So it'd only be 50 unsaved wounds.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. Because I'm just looking at the rules here,
Yeah.
and it says pink horror, blue horror, pair of brimstone horrors. I'm
So
looking at different profiles. So
2 on a base.
yeah, but it only has 1 wound, it's toughness 3, it's strength 1.
Oh, so it doesn't split into 2 bases of pairs
No,
of
so what it
brimstones?
says here for the split rule is it says each time a blue horror is slain, you can add 1 pair of brimstone horrors to this unit.
Well,
and
that's
pair
like-
of brimstone horrors is 1 model.
Games Workshop.
That does not make sense because you see what I'm
Yeah, like
it
I'm
says-
looking. We're looking at rules as written.
Yeah.
They are 1 entry.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember if that's how it was being played. I won't say that Gwyn was playing incorrectly because I can't remember, but that is significantly less annoying, but still pretty annoying.
Oh yeah, but again, this is very. I can definitely see even an experienced player making that mistake.
Kind of like using Faith on Penitent Engines?
Exactly like using Faith on Penitent Engines, Adam.
But while facing down that tactic wasn't super fun, I did run the Satan for the first time, the Deceiver, and was a ton of fun. Just kind of stuck him in the middle of the board so he was messing up Battle Shock rolls, which helped
it's fun,
because
it's fun.
Battle Shock is one of the... Is it Battle Shock? Morale?
It's morale.
Morale.
I like Battle Shock way more.
It's a more fun term.
Battle Shock.
Uh,
Not morale.
I feel good. I feel good about our team. But if you...
Our team of
gibbering nonsense. But as you, if you kill them with Battle Shock, they don't split because they're not slain; they run away.
And that's something else that's, just to interrupt, that's come up with some of the recent FAQs, is that apothecaries or anything that allows you to re-add models to the unit can't add models that were slain by Battle Shock because they didn't die.
Yeah, Necrons can't come back.
Yeah, they ran away.
But yeah, the Satan managed to get
here, guys.
a sweet charge off on a Khorne Demon Prince and hit with 4 attacks and wounded with 4 attacks and 4 saves went unsaved and did 12 wounds and killed 1.
3 damage each.
Yep.
Nice.
Star God fists, dude. They should be terrifying. But it was just like that was a minor spiritual victory for me in that game.
What were you running? You were running Necrons, obviously.
I was running Necron, so it was a big blob of... it was 2,000 points. So it was a big blob of warriors, 2 5-man squads of immortals, the Satan, an overlord, a cryptech, a lord, and some various bits and bobs. The Doom Scythe is a little underwhelming, actually. So the Tesla Destructors on the bottom are cool for like generating extra hits and stuff, where they're assault. The heavy weapon on the bottom it's always hitting on -1. Yeah. So the death ray.
Most vehicles, flyers especially, are like that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's something to keep in. I might just run Night Scythe.
Yeah. Well, being able to drop people off is also pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. Then my second game, Adam and I played together against Josh up at Mini Wargaming. Big shout out to those guys. I know Adam's going to echo this. Great hosts, great dudes. We had a blast. Great to meet all of them and see the studios and just...
It's something else, eh?
Man, just shelves and shelves and shelves of armies.
Yeah, of really well-painted armies.
And terrain.
Terrain.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm sorry I couldn't come. I canceled because I had some other stuff going on, and then I got an interview last minute, so I would have had to cancel anyways. But it's Mecca.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it was so cool. So we played a 2 versus 1 game of Horus Heresy. Adam and I were on the same team. Going from 8th to Heresy.
How was that?
Not as bad as I thought. Like, rolling for armor pen didn't really come up a whole lot because of the army that he was running. But it's still, like, weird when you get a Rhino one-shotted and you're like, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
How many times were we like, is that the rule? Like, we used to be so good at that game.
Why is your Praetor out by himself? Oh, no!
Uh-oh.
Rolling lookout sirs again?
Yeah.
So for that game, I was running my Imperial Fists. I did Pride of the Legion, so a squad of vets, 2 squads of Terminators, the Fire Raptor, Ammon Vol, and that's it, I think.
Yeah, it was 1,500 each for
Yes.
us. And
Oh,
he
yeah,
played,
that's
he played
small.
3,000.
That's
Yeah.
small in 30K.
So then what did you run, Adam?
Yeah, I took a Praetor Tribune, Augustus Blake, and a unit of Just Aaron Terminators, and put them in a Storm Eagle.
Ooh, a Storm Eagle and a Fire Raptor. One team.
He was fine.
I've been on the receiving end of that before.
Yeah, he was totally fine. We'll tell you more about the actual game in a second. But veterans and a Rhino outflanking, Javelin Landspeeder, Whirlwind Scorpius, the friend maker.
The friend maker.
And,
You'll be happy to know your nickname for it is made it onto Mini Wargaming.
Yep, that's what it is.
Yeah.
No Dreadnought for me. You had a Leviathan.
Yeah, I had a Leviathan. Sorry, that was the thing, which just got poked by a outflanking Rhino with a multi-melta on top.
Got it?
Got it.
Ah!
First turn.
Yeah, it moved up. It shot a land speeder out of the air, where I was like, haha, the natural predator of the Leviathan, a land speeder. So I killed it. And then a Rhino from out of nowhere just is like, zap.
Yeah, you gotta know your place, man. Those land speeders kill you.
Yeah. Well, now I know.
There's a reason why I call my 3 javelin speeders the Leviathan killers.
We played, yeah, like we said, 3,000 points aside. Dominion, which is the progressive objectives. So at the beginning of your movements phase, that's when you score a point. Crazy fun game. A big back and forth. Like, it looked like we were going to lose. It looked like we were going to win. Night Hunter is a beast. But not as, like, scary, not as, like, overpowered as some Primarchs.
Magnus.
Like, actually kind of fun to play against. And, like, I felt like I could have dealt with him if I concentrated, but we just kept tar pitting it and, like, throwing tiny units in the way. It got down to some, like, really beardy, like, bolter shots. Like, where it was progressive objectives, it would just be, like, one terror squad member on an objective. So, you had Terminators just being, like, trying to pick them off. My Terminators were on point that game with their bolter shots, just ripping it up. I gotta say, I was really pleased.
Yeah. So it just, like, in my mind, he came out real strong, turn 2, big alpha strike with all his reserves. Like, every single unit came on, hammered the crap out of us, and we spent the next 4 turns, like, crawling our way back, which we did a really good job of. And we ended the game tied, except for he killed... which secondary was it?
Slay the Warlord. Got it. Because
With
it was D3.
Yeah.
And you had 2 Slay the Warlords, too.
Well, we nominated 1 Warlord.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was Adams. He got killed by Night Hunter. So that's... I mean, so did Ammon Vol, but Ammon Vol, like, chewed through 2 full squads of Terminators, so I don't really...
As he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That big squad basically spent the whole game, like, in the middle of the battlefield, and all the fighting happened around the edge because of all the outflanking units, so it was really good for us.
What big squad? Just like...
Sorry, yeah, it was a big squad of Assault Marines with...
Night Raptors, yeah.
No, just Assault Marines.
Conrad.
Just Assault
Conrad
Marines.
Kurz.
Yep.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Point sufficient though.
I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, ton of fun that game, and
Yeah.
like such a nail biter. We were having a blast just in the room.
Oh yeah. Body parts everywhere.
Body parts. We weren't allowed to swear on camera, obviously, and we're no strangers to that. You know, if this recorder is not on, we are salty as sailors. Well, I am. Nick is.
Saltwater sailors.
Saltwater sailors.
Not Great Lake sailors.
No. Though I've hung out with Great Lake sailors, and they are pirates just the same. But yeah, so we just kept saying body parts when it came to like swearing.
Previous to that, it had always been in reference to male genitalia.
Yeah.
And so I decided we could just start saying body parts instead.
It
Much more PG.
Yeah, it made me laugh. You'll probably be able to check it out if you're a Vault member, I think, just because of their 30K. That's where most of their 30K stuff goes.
It is. I'm a Vault member. Are you a Vault member?
I'm not, but...
You should be now. They bought your lunch.
Yeah, there you go. They did buy us lunch.
Did they get you a beer?
They didn't,
Ah,
but...
I got a beer when I went.
Steve was sick.
Yeah,
So was
fine.
Court. He blamed it on his air conditioner, but I'm pretty sure they got drunk the night before.
yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Came in, my AC was down. I was like, okay.
Sure it was.
When Tristan and I went last 2 years ago, we went to the Cheers bar across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Had a couple beers, then came back and was like, I should have done that.
Yeah, no, I don't...
You don't drink?
I never drink. It's bad for you. So I think that's... Any other points about mini wargaming that we want to raise other than just champion dudes?
No, yeah. Like, go down, send them an email, do a challenge, and have a great time. And just enjoy it and take it in. It's like, it's the closest thing we can get to Warhammer World. You know what I mean?
Also, just seeing, like, all their painted stuff, like their studio.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring. Like...
They even have a gym.
They do. I was thinking about working on my guns, but, you know, they're already threatening enough.
Okay. Okay.
All right, well, moving on.
Nick can't handle it. That's your 2 games?
That's my 2 games. I know
So-
I ate up a lot of time.
Nick and I's turn.
Yeah, so...
Settling, guys, is going to take a while.
Yes. So this episode, our games play is going to be a while. We're going to be going over the tournament, some of the stuff that happened. So lots of games. We want to get some good coverage in because I know a lot of our listeners attended the tournament and a lot more wanted to. So first off, I played my league game versus Chaz. Played 8th edition. We both used our 30k armies. I played my Chaos list versus his Chaos list, his Alpha Legion. Usually, Chaz runs lots of infantry. Showed up to this game. We played 2,000 points. No Titanic. And he had 3 Hellforged Contemptor Dreadnoughts and a Leviathan Dreadnought and a Spartan Assault Tank. And when he pulled that out of the box, I was like, this is going to be a bad game. So basically what happened was I took 17 hull points off of his Spartan. First turn, between 4 las cannons from the Fire Raptor, 4 las cannons from my Havocs, and my Terminators also fired everything they had into him. My Terminators then attempted to charge a Spartan. He rolled 3 6s on Overwatch with the las cannons and killed 3 Terminators. Then ate one of the Terminators in close combat. And then the last one, I think I lost to Battle Shock. Second turn, he turned around. Even though he was hitting on 5s, he got some really good luck first turn. He turned his Spartan around. Didn't need to turn his Spartan around. Flipped the las cannons up to point at the Fire Raptor. Rolled 8 las cannon shots and hit with 6 on 5s.
Wow.
And just blew it out of the sky. And I was like, well, at least I got to use it this game. And then eventually the rest of the game came down to my Sorcerer casting Smite on his Spartan, rolling a 1 for the wounds, spending a command point to re-roll that for 3 and blowing it up.
Nice.
But when the Spartan blows up, everything within 2d6 takes d6 mortal wounds.
Wow.
So his Contemptor Dreadnought that was standing next to it took 5 mortal wounds right off the bat. He then tried to fire his Contemptor Dreadnought's plasma gun at my Lord. Rolled double 1s, which is 2 more mortal wounds. So at this point, Chaz's 1 Contemptor Dreadnought has done 7 mortal wounds to itself.
Oh, nuts.
And the rest of the game was basically me falling back to my board edge because we were playing long ways and just taking pot shots at all of his Dreadnoughts. The reason I won the game is I was able to double charge 2 of his Contemptor Dreadnoughts with my Rhino, and his 2 Contemptor Dreadnoughts only managed to do 9 hull points to the Rhino. So,
Oh my god. You're
they're
killing
stuck.
me.
so he was stuck, so I was able to tie him up, and then just kept falling back. Blastmasters, Sonic Blasters from the Noise Marines, and Las Cannons from the Havocs, and the Scorpius just pumping out shots.
Just keep pounding.
Yep.
Keep pounding.
And then the rules for the new Dreadnought rules came into effect because his Leviathan Dreadnought ran into a building that had no windows, and he couldn't get it out because I brought it down to 2 hull points, so it could only move 3 inches.
What?
So he's in a building, and he's like, I can't go through walls, can I? I'm like, no, you can't anymore. And he's like, well, like, it's 12 inches to the edge of the wall. Like, that's going to take me the rest of the game just to get him around. So his Leviathan Dreadnought was just sitting there like, well, I'm stuck in a building.
That's so mean.
Yeah. So that came down pretty close. I think it was a tie on the primary objective. We played secure and control, so 1 objective in each deployment zone. And I got his Warlord. He got my Warlord. What did it come down to? Oh, it was First Blood. I got First Blood off on him because we both had Slay the Warlord and we both had Linebreaker. And we both had the objective. I got Slay the Warlord. Also, let me not to point my fingers at my paper, but I won't do that anymore.
Yep.
Fine, I'll just stick them in my ears.
I'm the person that has edited out all your weird taps.
Yeah. Did you play your league game this week?
Yeah, I did play my league game. I played against... let's do that, and then we'll take a break.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
Yep.
played against Kieran. We played 2,000 points. Tau versus Sisters of Battle. And Tau, like, they can do some cool stuff. They all got a little more expensive, which I really appreciate. But he ran an all battlesuit list with 4 Droid Ivra battlesuit, 1 Riptide, 3 Crisis suits that were kitted out in Plasma and Flamer loadout.
That's so rad.
Yeah, and then a Devilfish full of, what do they call them, Breachers.
Sure.
And then some Fire Warriors on the ground with the Fireblade special character and a Broadside. And I took 3 Penitent Engines that held up my center, a Dominion squad of 4 Meltaguns, a Dominion squad with 4 Stormbolters, 3 Battle Sister squads, so I did the battalion detachment in that, with a Canoness and Celestine. I may be missing something there, but that's pretty close enough. So he pulled the crazy, like, I move my Ivro battlesuit 20 inches or 30 inches or whatever, so it's right in your face. And it's got this crazy flame gun that does 3d6 shots that are crazy strength, crazy AP, and 3 damage per hit. And when they're automatic hits, it's pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully he flopped. Couldn't kill 1 transport, which was what he was hoping to do, to shoot the guys inside or gals inside or whatever. And then his Ivro battlesuit standing right in front of my Penitent Engines. And they're just going, nom, 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 nom.
That's the exact
And
wrong
he
place for
didn't.
them.
He didn't kill them on Overwatch.
So I charged him with the Rhino.
Nice.
That didn't die. So I charged him with a full health one.
Yeah.
And he took it down to like 3.
Yeah.
So that was the only way.
Rhinos winning the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, I want more fiction about a Rhino driver.
Yeah.
Just like, I got this. I'm going to save this day every day.
Yeah. It was charge the Rhino in or charge Celestine in just to hope she can take it because she'll just come back to life.
Mm-hmm.
So I had both lined up for it either way.
Yeah.
But the Rhino managed to survive, so I didn't have to do that crazy kamikaze trick with Celestine. And she just played T-ball with a Ghost Keel. And then, this is my favorite. My MVP in that game was actually my Dominion squad of Meltagans, because I love that I can shoot outside of repressors now.
So the repressor.
Well, it's the combo of the two.
Pick one.
They're bedmates.
Yeah. Their mail goes to the same address.
Yep.
That's it. That just rolled up on a Riptide and blasted at this guy in 1 shot.
So cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good.
So you're liking the repressors, hey? Since the ending? Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think monstrous creatures took a hit, but are now what they should be with the way multiple damage weapons work.
Yeah.
Right? Because we were talking about this last episode. Like, a Lad's Cannon now is going to hurt a Riptide the same it's going to hurt a Land Raider now.
It should.
As it should.
Yeah.
So, like, you can't be as aggressive with your monstrous creatures anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we did play Maelstrom, so he had to go out and take objectives. Actually, It's funny. His first card was like advance or something like that, which is get all of your units out of your deployment zone.
That's perfect for Tau. That's what they do, right? They don't like to castle up.
Brutal.
Yeah. And so I chuckled to myself and said, haha, this is going to be funny.
I like this.
Yeah.
That's good.
But, and you know what? That's just kudos to GW doing Maelstrom. Like, whenever I play a game, I roll it totally random. Like, between Eternal War and Maelstrom, and then totally random on those charts, too.
Yeah.
I just think it's fun. It forces you to, again, take an all-comers, all situations type list. That's my league game.
Well, what we're going to do now is take a short break. Not really that short for us. Maybe it'll be an hour. Maybe it'll be a half hour. You don't know. You're right there in podcast land. You don't know how we do things. So we're going to take a break, come back, talk about the games that you two played during the doubles event, and then we'll talk about just how to organize a tournament at large.
Let's go watch a movie and then come back.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go get a pizza.
Okay.
Battle Brothers Studios, a commission painting service passionate about making your miniatures and your gaming table look great. Our philosophy at Battle Brothers is this: your army is our army. Every model will be something you can be proud to show off. Send us a message on facebook.com/BattleBrothersStudios for a free quote and make that dream project come to life. We also have something special planned for the release of 8th edition of 40K. Right now, get 20% off if you commission us to paint an 8th edition starter set, or get a 10% off Army Bundle bonus for painting up your new 8th edition 40K Army. Inquire with us on Facebook for full details.
Hogtown, Hogtown, Hogtown!
Saturdays at Sword and Board!
Rock and Bloor!
It's behind the pizza.
Oh, yeah! Idiots.
So welcome back to Inches and Cubes. We're going to be talking today about our doubles tournament last weekend that was played at Sword and Board at Brock and Bloor. So we had a fantastic turnout. We had 20 spots open originally, filled up within a day, and then we had to open up another table because we had 4 people on the waiting list. A couple people dropped out. A couple more people came on, so we had 24 sweaty nerds shoved into that basement playing in a sweet doubles event.
Boy, howdy, were they shoved in there.
Yeah.
It is a cool testament to the group that, like, we managed to fill 20 spots right off the bat and had to open up an extra table.
Oh, for sure. So for anybody out there who doesn't know how this doubles event works, we talked about this before the show. It's more of an event than a tournament. Felt it was the best way to really kick off 8th edition for the club. So what we did was we got...
Might add just one thing before we continue on.
Sure.
We sold it out on the same weekend that there was a Toronto GT.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. There was a Toronto GT. I forgot about that.
That also sold out.
Man.
So just some 40K love all around this weekend.
8th edition's good for everybody.
It's true. So this was a weird type of event. So instead of your normal doubles tournament where you enter with a partner, you're assigned a partner every round. So the first round, what we tried to do was we asked people for when they registered for the tournament to say if they were a vet or a noob. And we did our pairings by making sure every noob was paired with someone who said they were a vet. So if you didn't want to say you were a vet, then you didn't have to get paired with a noob. But I think everybody did, and it really let the first game go really, really well for a lot of people, I think. Because if you had 2 noobs versus 2 veteran players, then...
It's a curb stomp.
Yeah, it's a curb stomp, and it's not fun. So that was the first round, and then round 2 and 3 were essentially the top person with the highest battle score, not overall score. So just battle score is paired with the very bottom person, and then so on until everybody has a matchup.
Yeah, a middle of the pack, I hesitate using that phrase, but, like, you do end up with, like, your players that just aren't doing... that are doing, like, middling, sort of facing off against each other. But as they win games, they sort of move out of that and move above. So it makes sense. Before we go on, I think it's time for a little drink. And I've just opened up another of Indie Ale House's lovely brews called the Rabbit of Kurbanog for you English nerds out there. According to the label, they embarked on a journey for the Holy Grail and ended up with a wit recipe loaded with vicious amounts of late edition hops. This beer's appearance may give the perception of a fluffy innocence, but beneath the surface is a cold, black-hearted killer.
So the only way to kill this thing is with the holy hand grenade.
Yes. And I've got 1, 2, 5 glasses here. You can't count to 3 in the...
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
grail.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, sorry, yeah. We're just doing more Monty Python humor. So,
Not my joke, but it's a good one.
yeah, it's pretty funny. We'll get into the actual tournament. So I'll go first. I'll talk about my 3 games in brief, as well as the list I brought. So I brought my Death Watch. I split them into 3 squads of 5 veterans. I had 1 squad of veterans all with stalker pattern bolt guns, which are kind of like the sniper rifles that are pretty cool. I had a squad of close combat oriented ones with 2 frag cannons in the Corvus Blackstar. And then I had 5 guys with 3 bolters and 2 frag cannons and a drop pod.
Trying to tell me you like frag cannons?
I do like frag cannons. They're one of the only things that makes Deathwatch even viable. So first game was a lot of fun. So I got paired up with, I think, one of the lists I liked the most of the entire tournament. Someone brought like 15 Ogrins with the slab shields.
Yeah, shout out to Rowan.
So that was my partner for the first round. I couldn't have asked for a better matchup. He basically pushed an entire flank and let me get the soft bits. So I played against, Rowan and I played against Brian, who brought his Necrons, and Justin, who brought their Chaos. And I think, especially with the doubles tournament, it's really fun to see these types of matchups, because it happened later on. So you had Necrons and Chaos fighting basically an Ogren list with Militarum, Tempestus Scions, and Deathwatch. It was a good game. It came down to some great dice rolls on our part that really won us the game, especially when Brian dropped down a squad of 10 death marks on top of the objective in our deployment zone. And then I got out my veterans. These were my MVPs for this game. Was my veteran squad armed with stalker pattern bolters who just mowed them down. Stop!
I had to tell Nick.
That loud?
Sometimes.
Okay,
Sometimes
that's
it's
fair.
just like tap, 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 tap.
This is us doing some QC on the podcast, just live
Yep.
in-house as we do it, and know that.
We're leaving all the bones in for you.
Yeah.
So the first game we played was the secure and control. So 1 objective in each deployment zone. We switched it up a little bit by making it so that you deployed an objective in your opponent's deployment zone, and that was the only objective you could score points for. So they were trying to get the objective in yours, you were trying to get it in theirs while stopping them from getting yours. So you didn't get points for controlling the one in your deployment zone.
There was a secondary for having both.
There was, yeah. And that's the other thing about this tournament that I probably should mention, is we had the primary objective, and then we had secondary objectives, which some of them were scoreable by every single player, some of them were only scoreable by team, and then some of them were only scoreable by 1 person out of all 4 people playing.
Which gets hilarious to my mind. Just seeing like allies sort of turn on each other.
Yeah, there was one incident where somebody said, "I'm going to kill this warlord, you kill that warlord," and then the ally said, "Okay," and then later on in the shooting phase, killed the warlord that he had promised to the other guy. Yeah.
Very chaosy thing to do.
Very chaotic thing to do.
That's how it goes down in the doubles tournament.
Yeah, it's a dirty tournament. Well,
So-
it's an event. It's not
It's
a
an
tournament
event, yeah,
per
that's
se.
So this is another fun thing that I love about this tournament. So because I won the first game, and me and Rowan almost scored full points, and our opponents did not, I got paired up with Brian as my partner for the second round. So I beat him first round, partnered him with the second round, and now I can start giving him hints on, maybe you should do this game instead of last game.
Yeah, try this out.
Try this game.
I like this like organization. It makes for strange bedfellows. You get to meet a lot of people. You get to play a lot of people. And I think it's like probably one of the best social events in our club calendar.
It definitely is.
One of the great dynamics of that too is you don't want to be a jerk to your opponent because they may be your ally the very next game.
True, yeah. So, second game, I played against Connor, who brought his Iron Hands, and Matt Schnarr's Nids with the Nid Bomb that I know Adam's going to talk about in his game.
Oh, definitely.
So that was brutal. The only reason why we won that game was because Brian's Immortals and Overlord were able to tie up 20 Gene Stealers. He had 10 Immortals and an Overlord tied up 20 Gene Stealers for 3 turns. So there was like two walls that Brian had shoved all his immortals into, and the objective was at the corner of the 2 walls. And then all the Gene Stealers are trying to get to the objective. So for 3 turns, Brian is scoring a point for holding that objective at the start of our turns.
Oh, so good, Brian.
Something so cinematic about that.
Yeah, so that mission was the Dominion one. We talked about that a little bit. We modified it. So you score a point if you begin your movement phase with the most models within 3 inches of an objective.
Yeah, and we sat down and like kind of banged this mission out as, and we'll talk about it more in the main topic, but we really wanted this to just be a meat grinder mission.
Yep.
And we'll talk about how we achieved that later.
And it totally was. Couple points there. Zoanthorpe's getting the D6 Mortal Wound Smite is brutal. He just snapped his fingers at a squad of my veterans and they just evaporated. He rolled a 5 and I'm like, well, they're all dead.
Well, kind of like the way they should be. They cost enough points that they should be doing that. They're heavy support.
Yep.
They're brain bugs, by definition.
They're scary.
Yeah.
The way I dealt with them, frag cannons.
You hold that hammer long enough, everything looks like a nail, Nick.
Yep. So I dropped them out of the Corvus Blackstar, and I rolled the 4d6 auto hits, and I rolled like 2 5s, a 6, and a 4. And then they basically all wounded, and they only have 3 wounds each, so he failed all the saves and wiped out that. Then the rest of the squad charged in, took out some, I think they're Hive Guard. They fire like the Impaler cannons that do mortal wounds to vehicles on a 4-up to wound.
Yeah, I think they're Hive Guard.
Yeah, so smush them with the Heavy Thunder Hammer, which is awesome, by the way. It's basically a portable las cannon. It's strength 10, d6 damage, and if you roll a to wound roll of 6, it's automatically 6 damage. So you're just like, kaboom!
Squish.
Playing T-ball with bug heads?
Yep. And then Connor got the short end of the stick, because Connor had the big scary things first turn. He had like the 2 Predators and the Contemptor Dreadnoughts. So we just took out his stuff first turn. He lost both his Predators and one of his Contemptors really early on in the game. And then his other Contemptor, when it had 2 wounds left, rolled 5-up saves against 7 las cannon wounds, a bunch of bolter wounds, and a librarian charging in with a force weapon. Yeah, MVP. Which then enabled him to first crush the librarian, then crush my warlord, and then ended up tying the game. We tied that game because of Brian being amazing with his immortals and with Connor being amazing with his Contemptor. Because if we had dealt with that Contemptor, we would have scored some points.
Yeah.
I have a funny story about that Contemptor. Should I tell it now or wait?
Wait for your game.
Yeah. So MVP for that one was the frag cannon bets, which was always fun. So the last game was the greased up servitor. We wanted to do something fun. Last year we did the teleporting relic, which every game turn the relic teleported. We wanted to give it a little narrative feel, so we just called it a greasy servitor, and people had to tackle the servitor and hold him, and he kept teleporting around the board. So I got paired up with Morgan, who was running Chaos. I think he was just running Black Legion or Alpha Legion. Lots of las cannons. Versus Connor, a different Connor, who was running Crimson Fists, and Jason, who was running a Battlesuit Heavy Tau list. So we got first turn. We had lots of las cannons. We ended up blowing up one of Connor's dreadnoughts, which then blew up and did mortal wounds to a whole bunch of stuff around it. Killed 3 out of 5 Devastators that had las cannons, which really hurt their fire base. My Corvus Blackstar was able to kill a Storm Talon and basically just took out a whole bunch of other stuff.
The Corvus was doing a lot of work for you.
Corvus was doing a lot of work. It's a fun, because it's got 2 las cannons, so it can like really put the hurt on vehicles. And then it's also got 2d6 shot missile launchers that add +1 against units that have the fly keyword.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it does some good damage. And then it's got a Hurricane Bolter, so it just can mow down some infantry.
And you can drive bikes out of the front.
And you can drive bikes out of the front, which is also
Which
awesome.
I think is a scene in one of the Fast and the Furious movies.
Definitely.
Like, probably has to be. If it isn't, it will be.
So the game came down to 2 different events. First off, I was able to get Null Zone off on my Librarian, denying his Warlord his Storm Shield invulnerable save, so then Artemis was able to poke him in the eye with a Power Sword and kill him. And then the Relic scattered, the Greasy Servitor, scattered last turn next to Connor's Drop Pod. And the rule was, if nobody holds the relic, so no one's in base contact with the relic, it's the person who has the closest model to the relic wins the game. So Morgan actually won the game for us, because Morgan had 10 cultists in combat with Space Marines near the drop pod. He piled in to the drop pod, did 1 wound to the drop pod, it had 1 wound left. And Connor rolled a 1 for the save. The drop pod blew up, and then Morgan was able to consolidate and was the closest people to the relic, which won us the game. It was tight. It was fun. That battlesuit that Adam was talking about earlier terrifies me, because I watched it kill a squad of 5 Terminators and a Chaos Lord like they weren't even there.
Like it was just a nuisance.
Yep. And then a Tau commander with... Oh, the way that Tau interact with their drones is weird, because the drones are a separate unit. So what you do is you just put 4 drones around a character model, and you can never target the character unless you deal with a bunch of drones.
Yep.
Thankfully, they're usually in small units,
Yeah.
and they're not that tough.
No, they're not tough. But what's annoying is like the savior protocols, right? So, for example, I hit a battlesuit with the heavy Thunderhammer, did 6 damage with it, and he just was like, okay, well, that's 6 drones dead. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And like, it's a cool mechanic, but it's
Yeah.
just where it's not like the ones that are assigned to the character. It's any of them within 3 inches. You can get pretty...
Yeah, you can get really, really cheesy, because you can just basically swarm a drone unit around a big battlesuit like a Riptide or
Or a Quad Fusion Commander.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Fusion Face?
Yeah, Mr. Fusion Face.
Like, I wouldn't call it cheesy.
No.
It's just like annoying.
It would be nice if it was like on a 2-up. The fact that it happens automatically just gets frustrating, because you can always rely on it.
Yeah, and you never, like... I feel like you see this a lot in 8th, where things that used to be automatic are now put to a dice roll, so it just feels like you have some agency, or, to borrow a line that Adam's always using, you're saying there's a chance.
No, you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah. But what gets to me is like when you gotta like really read rules, because there was a new player who was playing, and like I did the 1 wound that did 6 damage. And he's like, oh, so I just shrug off that 1 wound onto 1 drone. And I'm like, no, that did 6 damage. Let's read the rule.
Yeah.
And the rule is every time the model suffers a wound, a drone takes a mortal wound instead.
Yeah. That mechanic is... That I wouldn't say that's even his fault. It's kind of a weird mechanic in general for most people.
It is. You have to read it, though, because like we got
Mm-hmm.
2 types of wounds now, right? We talked about this in the last podcast. You
Right.
have the 2 wound roll,
Yeah.
and then you have the wound characteristic. And a lot of these, like ignoring wounds, it says when you lose a wound. So not when you suffer a wound.
Yeah.
It's when you lose a wound.
It would work so much better if they just changed all of it to damage.
Yep.
If they said, like, for each 1 damage, or, like...
For each damage this model takes, on a 5 or a 6, it's ignored.
Yeah.
And, yeah. But, like, then you get into issues, like, how do you word it for stuff that you want to negate the wound before the damage is rolled? I guess you just say it exactly the way I just did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's rough, but yeah, we talked through it. I didn't have a bad game. It was a lot of fun, and definitely want to run that event again. Just a couple points that I want to point out before we get to Adam's thing. Doubles events in 8th edition, or doubles games, if you're just playing a casual doubles game, they're not easy to run. They're time consuming. The fight phase honestly takes like a third of all game time. Because if we have let's say we have an imaginary person here. What's his name?
Billy.
We'll call him Billy. So Paul and I are playing Adam and Billy. Paul and I both have units that are engaged with Adam and Billy in the fight phase. You know, if I'm fighting Billy over here, I can't just go, okay, let's just resolve our fight. We have to go as sides and alternate back and forth, which I don't know how you'd speed that up.
Yeah, that is something. I'll just like pop in with a point that I wanted to add. Game length became a little bit more difficult to manage with 8th edition.
Yeah.
And that became one of the challenges that I discovered I was the TO. I don't know if we mentioned that off the top. I was TO, guys.
Which for you out there, it means the tournament organizer.
He was tough but fair.
Yeah. I rule with an iron caress.
A fist.
Fist? Oh, right, because of the thing I play.
You can call it a silk fist.
Ugh. Gross. That was probably the most repulsive thing I've had to think of in minutes. Yeah, it was... Minutes.
They don't know what happened on the break.
Exactly.
It's true. We watched the rabbit killing people in Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah, you know, the Kerbanog. But yes, I did notice that, like, that was becoming a bit of not an issue, but it was, like, it's certainly a concern.
Well, we'll get to that later when we talk about running an event, but good lessons learned. Mm-hmm. Adam, run us through your games.
Yes, 3 games played at this tournament. Had a great time. And my general...
Oh, can I just say one thing?
Yeah, well done for winning
Well done. Adam won best overall at this event. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to bury the lead, Adam.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. And you know, it's funny because I was just about to say what my theme for the day was, and it was the Primaris Marines being the meat shield for everybody.
That's how they function in the fluff.
There you go. And so it immediately came to light in my first game, which was me paired up with Connor, who you played in your second... Played with Collie.
Iron Hands player.
Mr. Collie, yeah. In your second game, you were his
famous
teammate.
coward.
Connor the Hair Collie.
That's right.
Connor the Hair Yellow-Bellied.
We give him a hard time. We give everybody a hard time, but it's only because we love.
In love. That's
Yeah,
right.
so I just want to jump in quickly with 2 things.
Yeah.
First of all, Connor was supposed to be on this episode, and then he canceled.
Sure.
Then we were going to get Mike on this podcast, and then he canceled. And so Mike said we could make fun of him and rip him up because we need the content. So
It's no fun if
they want it.
it's still fun.
I don't know how to finish
You
that
can't,
sentence.
yeah, because it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Go to a bad place.
Yeah.
So way to go, guys. You let us down.
But we love you. Let's try again next week.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I played... Connor was my ally, and we played against the Tyrannid Matt Schnar, and Space Marines owner of Sword and Board, Mr. Nick.
That was a weird way of saying it.
Space Marine owner.
Space Marines owner of Sword and Board.
Yeah.
Sure.
The co-owner of Sword and Board, Mr. Nick Wilkins.
That's it.
There we go.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Matt Schnar might be one of... Like, if there was an award for, like, most enthusiastic dude, he won it that day.
Yeah,
like, that guy was so pumped, I gotta say. Like, he was just good energy to have in that room.
Oh, yeah.
That was probably my most fun game by far, was this game. And it just, like... I almost feel like we set the tone for the room because our table was so loud.
Oh, yeah. No, I kept walking over just being like, what's loud table saying?
Yeah.
And so it all started off with Matt Schnar trying to pull out his Gene Stealer bomb, and he charged our entire front line and just got speed bumped in a big way by Connor's unkillable Dreadnought that survived for I don't even know how many turns. And it was like every time we rolled dice, we would just all freak out because it was some like random other 6 that Connor needed to save his life again, and he would just do it.
Yeah, like that Dreadnought might as well just be called Josh Donaldson because he's like MVP.
And
MVP.
What was funny is that after the tournament was over, Connor realized he had been running his Contemptor Dreadnoughts wrong.
Yeah, he was running them with the profile of a regular one. The Relic has a 2-up save.
It has a 2-up save and 2 more wounds.
Well, there you
go. And a straight-up 5-up invulnerable save, because he was just running it as like, oh, it doesn't have an invulnerable save in combat.
Oh, in combat, because he was screwing up with 30k?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
What a goon. You know what? It wouldn't have worked out if it would have been better.
Yeah.
So... I'm glad it happened when it did. So we just stopped this giant Gene Stealer bomb that came right in our face first turn, and decided, what was it? First turn to drop his veterans in. We were playing on the Demon World table, which if you haven't seen it, you can check out one of our battle reports on the channel, and it's on there, where there's these like floating islands that you can essentially only get to with portals or with jump troops. And he jumped alongside those, and this is kind of the counter to the Unkillable Dreadnought. He ran into an unkillable squad of scouts that just stood there and took the beating from these Vanguard vets.
That's so funny.
For 3 turns, which actually ended up winning us the game, because if he would have killed them any quicker, we would have done something stupid like throw them into the army, and they would have died, right? And so the fact that they were sitting on top of this mountain and then jumped down last turn to claim the objective probably won it for us. Yeah, I pretty much lost every model in my army except for my captain, my ancient, and maybe a single Primaris Space Marine dude. So I was the meat shield for Connor to just run in, and all 3 of those models claimed our objectives. So
Nice.
Yeah. Well, that's so heroic, though.
Yeah.
Like, think about that from a cinematic point of view. Just these Primaris just going in and being like, we have to get this done. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Our lives are forfeit.
They're not worth as much as the older Marines.
That's right.
Are they not? Should they be worth more?
I don't know.
Who knows?
Eventually, there's going to be, like, in the fluff, some fluff found with, like, the old Space Marine Gene Seed.
They haven't lived as long,
Yeah.
so they don't have as much
Experience?
value to them.
Yeah.
We won't go there.
I will. No. No, we won't.
They're 100 years old already, at least, for the new ones.
Yeah.
And the ones that got the upgrade have been alive for a very long time.
Very, very, very.
So, game number 2. It was me, allied with Paul Kervanis, and the 3 Bloodthirster list.
And this is so fluffy.
3 Bloodthirsters.
And
like-
Primaris Space Marines.
And like a handful of Blood Crushers.
Yeah.
Like, might be one of the favorite list of the game. Like, I saw it come in. We'll talk about it later, but just saw it come in. I was like, that's going to be hilarious.
I was hoping with all my might that I would not have to play against or be allied with this list. And I was allied with it, and it was hilarious. And we played against Rowan's army, which was the Bulgrin army, and a guy named Victor, who played Dark Angels, who I'd never met him before. Seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah, he was a cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he come out to drink afterwards? I think so. Lucas did. He didn't come.
I gotta tell you, my memory's not
Nope, that's
like admissible as evidence.
So this game was hilarious because Paul just ran the 3 Bloodthirsters straight into the middle of the battlefield, and what's that, Nick?
We're just back to Broken Hipster.
Yeah,
Sorry, guys.
we doubled down.
Beauties. So as that pours out, I'll just keep going with this. He ran them out into the middle of the battlefield, and they just spent 2 turns trying to take him down with all their firepower. And Commissar Yarrick rolled up and knocked one of the Warlord Bloodthirster down to 1 wound left, and just couldn't finish the job, which was hilarious.
I had a friend in high school who, not the brightest guy, but he was convinced that it was Commissioner Yarrick.
Nope.
It's Commissioner Gordon, Mr. Batman.
I'm Commissar Gordon. Oh no, Gotham is in a lot of trouble now.
Commissar Yarrick was like, I've got the old model at home that I've like been waiting to do a great paint
With
job
like
on.
the actual orc power claw, right?
Yep.
Because he stole Gaskell's power claw.
No, it wasn't Gaskel's. It was a lesser war boss.
Was he subservient to Gaskell?
Yeah.
So it's Gaskell's power claw.
True, but like, yeah, it was just. I like when someone who's got the like title of Hero of Hades Hive, like, just puts the hurt on a Bloodthirster.
I love that his tank is called the Fortress of Arrogance.
Yeah, I just love everything about Yarrick. He's like, yeah, he's just the coolest.
And when he dies on a 3-up, he doesn't die.
Yeah. Is it 3-up? I can't
It's
remember.
3-up now, so they changed the rule. So it's just when he dies on a 3-up, he doesn't die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like he dies and then he comes back. It's just no, he doesn't
Just
die
doesn't.
on a 3-up.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he's on that last wound forever.
Which is way fluffier.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way he would be working, just like this sputtering old war engine of a man,
Yeah,
just
with his-
spitting his own teeth at the enemy.
Well, he's got his laser beam eye.
Also,
he
laser beam.
He shoots his own eyeballs in.
All right, Cyclops, calm down.
Anyway, this game is really funny because we ended up actually drawing. So the Bloodthirsters just kind of got dealt with around mid game, which paved the way for my 2 Contemptor Dreadnoughts to just clean house in their backfield. We would have won if Khorne was not so bloodthirsty. And we just got slow. We were trying to speed the game up because we were like coming down to last turn type situation. And in when you don't have a certain number of time per round, you don't have time to think about certain things like this. The Dark Angel Victor, he put all of his units on one of the objectives in our battlefield, just outside our deployment zone. A bunch of bikes, a rhino that just spat out 10 Space Marines. It was just littered in Marines. And I was like, I turned to Paul, I'm like, we can do this. We can get that objective. Or we can deny him from getting it, which was the important thing. We just have to commit everything to that. And so I put in my Warlord, my Lieutenant, and he put in his 4 Blood Crushers. And the idea was to just wipe as much stuff out and consolidate onto it to get the same number of models.
Yeah.
Because all we needed was the deny. The problem was we let him go first with his Blood Crushers that just wiped the bikes.
Oh no!
So you had nothing to charge.
So I couldn't. Well, I charged, but I couldn't get the pile in and consolidate that I needed because he just wiped them.
Yeah.
And so 8th edition order of operations. If there's nothing within 1 inch of you, you can't select that unit to pile in and consolidate.
Yep.
Classic Khorne.
Just screwing it up for everybody.
All right, what we need you to do is be tactical. He's like, I'm gonna bite their faces.
That would actually be a really cool rule for a Khorne unit. Be like, this unit must be activated before all others.
Yeah.
Not like this fights first, but like a Khorne unit has to be. If you're running like a multiple demon list, like Khorne units have to be activated first.
There you go.
Yeah,
That'd
I
be
like
awesome.
that.
I like
Yeah.
that rule.
It would be better than the kind of old, like, where you could just kite them around.
Yeah.
Because they had to go after the closest unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Khorne likes smart battle, too. Like, he doesn't like...
Khorne like smart battle.
Well played, Nick.
Go ahead, guys.
You broke him. You broke
I don't know what you were trying to
gave up.
He likes good warfare. He doesn't just like a guy bashing in his neighbor's head. He likes that.
Yeah.
But if you're good at it, too, if you're smart, like he was probably like General Patton, you're cool, too.
Yeah, I don't think General Patton cut off anybody's heads, though.
No, but anyways, I'm going to get into... This
Yeah.
isn't the historical wargaming podcast. Or is it? Yeah.
So at least with that game, even though we got the draw and it was only 5 points instead of 9, I still pulled out a lot of secondaries, which still kept my battle score pretty high, which probably helped towards the best overall.
Yeah, it definitely did. That's why you got best overall.
Oh yeah.
Because you got good battle points.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
that's how it works.
Don't be modest.
I thought you knew some behind the scenes information.
No. It's
The
just
exact
if
points.
you do well in games, you have a better chance of winning the event.
Thanks, Nick, for your beautiful insight there.
We're even, Nick. For dumb things.
He seemed confused.
Anyways,
You're just drawing Space Marines.
And demons.
Okay.
Guys, I didn't play a lot of games.
I'm sorry.
So I'm just doodling and hopping in here with peanut gallery stuff.
you get to bring in the caboose of this train. Bring it in. No, be on the caboose.
Adam's just bringing up.
Let's go!
Last game.
Connor will be so mad if I tell that story again.
Does it involve his caboose?
No, it's just inside baseball. None of you get this. Let's move on.
All right, so Primaris Marines played the meat shield role again in the last game, and it was me paired up with Dark Eldar Dave, and we played against Rowan again. Stupid Bulgarins, so hard to kill. And Grey Knights Shane, and he brought 2 Eversor Assassins, 2 Demon Hosts, 2 Razorbacks with last cannons, and then just a bunch of Grey Knight duties that cast Smite, and yeah.
I like his list because he doesn't run them as great. He calls them the Exorcists.
They're the Exorcists.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
like-
they're
Oh, his list was certainly not cheesy.
yeah. Well,
No.
besides maybe one Evisaur.
Yeah,
two was pushing it, Shane.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy.
I think I may have said this on the podcast before, but I feel like Shane is our, if like the club is the Avengers, he's our Hulk, where it's like we have this like sensible ITC player that we can just juice up if we need to. It's like, go get him, Shane.
Did you guys watch the trailer for Thor Ragnarok?
Not yet.
It's so good.
I'll get around to it.
It's like the Hulk actually having a conversation with Thor. He'd be like, me, fire. You, ice. And Thor's like, oh, no, I'm like fire. No, Hulk, fire. You, ice.
So, Shane, if you're listening, we love you.
Yeah, you're my boy Blue.
Thanks for being around, and keep painting pretty models. And so, basically, again, I just ran my Space Marines up the middle and took the Bulgrin charge and said, Dark Eldar, stay in the back, stay in the back, stay in the back. Okay, go! Go get it! And Dave just managed to get... It came down to his Warlord having to jump out of his transport, make a 4-inch advance to end his move, controlling this, what do we call it? Slippery Servitor?
Yeah,
Greasy Servitor.
Greasy Servitor. And so he did that, and the only thing that was preventing him from being charged by Shane's Warlord, a Grey Knight Terminator, and being shot by a bunch of stuff was just one, what do you call them, Raiders? Are they Raiders? The basic transport they have?
Yeah, Raiders.
Yeah. And so his Inquisitor with like a big Thunderhammer just came up and tried to play T-ball with a Raider, and didn't quite do it. And so that totally saved the day. His Terminator, the Gate of Infinity to over to try and get closer and try and charge, and he just couldn't do it. And yeah, so he stood there with his 2-up invuln and took the rest, and it was beautiful. And I think that's it.
That was all the games. That's a lot of games, dudes.
Yeah, it was.
It was an intense week of Warhammer.
Yeah, like I went out to go get the Butcher Prize. So those of you that don't know, the Butcher Prize is the highest battle score, not overall. And we just have started giving meat to that person, because they're the butcher.
We've done some fun stuff. I think we did a Brazilian type shoulder roast. We've done a chuck roast. We've done artisanal sausages. We've done ground beef.
Yep. This time I went with 3 delicious New York strip loins. They're my favorite cut of steak, in case you guys are thinking of getting me meat for...
You still haven't invited us to your house for a barbecue.
Oh my gosh, this again. Do we have to do this in front of the listeners?
Yeah.
My favorite was a certain ITS lover who won the Butcher Prize and just had this like weird smirk and like received this pile of meat like he didn't know what to do with it.
Oh, not at this event, at another
At a
event.
different
one,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was funny.
Yeah, Chaz got it.
Yeah, so yeah, I'd like to go through the winners.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll start at the bottom. So we also have another fun prize.
Oh yeah, we got the Dice Chucker Award.
We got the Dice Chucker Awards. This award goes to the person with the lowest battle score, not the person who did the worst in the event overall.
Yeah,
but the person who had the lowest battle score.
who should throw out their dice.
And get new ones. So we gave them 6 Hogtown brand dice.
Yep, and those went to good old Nick.
Yep. Not me.
No, the other Nick, but not that Nick. The other Nick.
Nick Wilkins.
Yeah.
With 3 Nicks now. Oh, goddamn Nicks. Oh, okay. Then we had Best Painted.
Yep, which went to a friend of the show and favorite army of the show, one of those, which was Nick G's.
Another Nick.
Yeah, my boy Nick Space Wolf.
Yeah, dope Space Wolves with go and look at them. I'll post pictures on the Facebook group, and I'll post them on the club Instagram, which is Hogtown 40K, if you ever want to look it up. Just such a smart army. Freehand on everything.
Looks great. Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things that, like, looks great from far, looks amazing up close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
great basing. Yeah, we were talking about weathering, and like I just think that this guy applies techniques so well, and it was nice that went to a community. That's a community voted prize. So,
and then we forgot about the butcher. The butcher's supposed to be the second lowest, but we went above it. So this year, Chaz Wilson won the butcher, which means he got the highest battle score, which was funny because at the last doubles event, he got the lowest battle score.
yeah, I don't know. I love Chaz. I like when nice things happen to him.
Right.
And
he was amazed. He was like, "What?"
Yeah. Me? Yeah. No, I love that guy. It was so nice to hand him like a big brick of steaks.
Yep.
Then up next was Best Ally, and that went to Paul Carvanis.
Yeah. Bloodthirster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have told you about how he went bloodthirsty and made us draw the game instead of winning.
Well, you gave him a full sportsmanship score.
Oh, yeah. No, it was not his fault. It was great.
And
we actually had a great time as teammates.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
That's how you win it. So Best Ally is a combination. So what we do is we let your ally score you on your sportsmanship as well as your opponents. So Best Ally is a combination of your ally scoring you each round as well as both of your opponents scoring you each round. So it's a combination Best Ally, Best Sportsman, but it's kind of fun because if you're going to do things like steal someone's warlord kill, you're going to get 0 on your ally score.
Yeah.
It happens.
And this is something that I kind of went around saying, we scored it at a 3. 2 is average. Most of us are average. Or, score it as a ranking. There's 3 of you at the table. So, one person is the best, the other person is the worst. Yeah, I'm not saying that they're bad.
Yeah, we didn't do that this event.
I totally missed you saying any of that.
That's okay.
Which, at the beginning, when you're doing a welcome to the event, all that, you should have said all that there.
These are lessons I've learned.
Yeah.
I think I would love to run another tournament because we can go into lessons learned in the organization right now.
But is that all the awards?
Yeah, that's all the awards. We don't talk about who won best overall.
Yeah, just some jerk.
I don't know. Power gamer.
Yeah. I took a starter set and 2 plastic contender dreadnoughts.
It's so crazy when you say starter set.
No, so Adam did win best overall, which is a combination of all the scores. And best overall is what you want at our events because we tried to make it so that all of the aspects are equally weighted. Painting, sportsmanship, and battle score. So best overall, you're a master of all.
Yeah, you did it. You did it. So yeah, let's get into running a tournament.
Yeah, it's not easy, is it?
It is. It's sweaty work.
Yeah, it's not. It's not easy. People are like, "What about this? What about that?" And you're like,
"Good point.
Good point."
Yeah,
I've done hours and hours of prep work, and you just made more work for me.
You just blew a hole right in it, and it's a hole that is a very, very good point.
Yep. I can't get angry at you.
No. Well, I mean, I didn't get angry at anyone. I did have one.
That's not what you said earlier.
Yeah.
That's true.
So let's break this down. So we actually have a list of things we want to go through, kind of like how you run an event. So anybody out there who listened to our podcast, I think 3 episodes ago, where we talked about how to run a club. One of the most important parts of running a club is running events, whether that's a tournament, an event, or getting drunk at a pub on a random night. So the first thing I have here is designing the event and what kind of event you want to run.
You're killing me, Nick! Well, yeah, and that's something we talked about, specifically with an eye towards this one. We wanted to do a fun event. We wanted to get sort of a mixer in.
I saw that.
That's sort of what this event function as.
Oh, it definitely is. We had a good combination of new people, old people, and people who've actually, I think there was 1 or 2 people who've literally never played a game of 8th edition before.
Yeah, and it was cool that a lot of people that were getting involved with building the terrain when Sword and Board at Black and Brewer, that's how you say that. When we started doing that, a lot of people came out and started helping. And it was nice to see those people contribute to an event and come and spend their time in a smelly basement with us. I was just like really pleased. And I think like the biggest lesson I took away is that we've got a really good club. Like the fact that you can run a 24-person event and not have any major disagreements, that is like incredible.
Yeah, well, again, I think it comes down with setting the tone for the event early.
Right.
And I think we've done this well with all of our events and tournaments, and I hope we continue to do so with our events and tournaments, because I think, Paul, you've said it the best, like, you're playing a game with another person. Both of you have to have fun for that to be a successful game.
Right.
Or all four people in a doubles event have to have fun for that to be a successful game.
Yeah, and like I really hope that everyone did that. Huge shout out to poor Raphael, who ended up playing the same table every game.
Yeah, that's rough. So with the problem when you're doing 24 people and 6 tables is, and then everyone's getting switched around in weird pairings every turn, is you cannot guarantee people play on a different table.
Yeah.
But to that point, all the tables were dope.
Oh, yeah, no.
I would play 3 games in a row on any of those tables and not whine about it.
I think... No, and, like, he did... Like, that's the thing. Total shout out. Didn't say anything. I mentioned it to him. I was like, you played on this table, like, 3 times in a row. And, you know, he just shrugs. He's like, I just like playing games.
Yeah.
So I was like, Raph, you're the real MVP.
Yeah. So for design, like, Paul, myself, Mike Chapman, and Matthew Hurd, who wasn't able to make the event because he's doing a course. So huge shout out to him for putting in the time to, you know, make an event that he wasn't able to play in. We were the ones who tackled this event. Having 3 or 4 people organize a tournament or any sort of event is probably the best way to do it. Yeah,
because where I was TO, it took a lot of heat off me just to come with you guys and discuss these missions that we were designing.
Yep.
And they were adaptations of missions that we've used in the past for the doubles event. But we had considerations that I would have never thought of as a group. Like,
yeah, for sure.
So that was like very helpful. We got in there and was like, well, how are we going to make sure that like this isn't a problem or that isn't a problem? So you do have to troubleshoot some stuff. Heck, some stuff came up on the day. A couple of typos that... You know,
that's my fault.
Yeah.
No one read my work.
No.
Yeah. And one thing I wish we had...
Our copy editor didn't copy it?
No, he didn't copy edit.
Dude, I charge money for that. I ain't giving this away.
You can volunteer your time to the club like the rest of us do. So one thing I wish we had done more was actually playtest those missions.
Yeah.
Nothing actually came up during the game, but like in hindsight... I played a doubles game the week before. You heard me talk about it on the podcast, where a couple things came up, and I'm like, we need to address these issues before the tournament happens, because 8th edition and doubles events gets weird, man.
Yep.
Who spends the command point to reroll C's, or
Yes.
who can counteroffensive? Both or none,
Yes.
or all?
Yeah, we decided both people on a team had to spend a command point to reroll seize the initiative and to reroll end of turn.
Yeah, and I liked your guys' rationale. I was like, "What? That's silly."
Yeah.
And it's because both players gain the benefit of going first.
Exactly, yeah.
Then we also decided that you can only do the counteroffensive stratagem once per turn, just because that would completely blunt the opposing team's assault phase.
Yeah, in a big way.
Yeah, and that just wouldn't be fun, and it's also really changes the rhythm of the game.
If you were playing like 2 separate games, but if one person's doing all the combat and you launch 2 counteroffensives, that's
right.
brutal. That would just immediately gut their assault phase. So I think that was the best compromise we could come up with for that.
Yeah, I don't think I really even came into a situation where we even considered needing to do that, but it's still good to have there as a contingency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it just came up with us. So yeah, design. We decided this was going to be a fun event. We wanted people to learn about 8th edition, to have fun playing the missions, and to really... This is like... It's funny that this was not the event / tournament / fun day that we really thought it would turn out to be. Like, this has become like the pilot thing for Hogtown 40K.
Yeah.
This is the most popular event, and we did not expect that to happen. And now that it's happened, I loved it. And we got to roll for that.
Should we call it the flagship event?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it.
I think we should do 2 a year, honestly.
Yep. Oh, definitely.
Because there are a couple of tweaks that I do want to make to it, and I think we can get into that now. First off, does it fit in your notes? Yeah, it comes out under design. Oh, wait, no, that's 5th point. All right, never mind.
That's fine. So after you've decided, the vision for the event, how it's going to be run, and a lot of the mechanics, because that needs to be done early on.
Yeah.
We're lucky with this club now because we've actually run enough events now that there's a basis to go off of. So now you've got the meat and potatoes, and you just have to tweak it to make it seem different for new people. Maybe add a little bit of paprika to the potatoes.
Right?
Yeah.
I add duck fat.
Where do you get duck fat?
Any butcher worth their salt. Stasis down in Roncesvalles
good to
sells
know.
it $5 a tub.
Good to know.
Or just any
Duck?
restaurant in Chinatown where they sell
Yeah.
supposed to sell duck meat, but it's all duck fat and bones.
Yeah, or a
Delicious.
pond.
Or a pond. And
loud duck.
you get a duck net.
So the second part is getting the word out. And again, this goes back to the point that I just made. This is the most popular event. We talked about this earlier. This event filled up in 48 hours.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
And we're lucky that we have a club of 50 some members. We have a Facebook group of
200.
So quadruple that. It's easy to get the word out for us.
Yep.
And it kind of makes sure that it's going to the people that are going to want to attend this sort of event.
Yes.
I don't see your hardcore loving tournament players having a ton of fun at this event. They might, and I would love it if they would come. But if you're going to be super competitive, you want to run
this isn't the event for you.
right.
No, not at all.
But heck, come out, see what happens.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
You're going to have fun playing Warhammer at this event.
You may even just because of the dynamic of it and the nature of it, you may even learn some fun little tricks for your competitive stuff in the future.
Yeah, because you're playing 2 opponents around, and you've got an ally who's got their own tricks. So you've got 3 people that you can learn from each round.
Yeah, that actually might have been probably the most fun part, was just learning about my allies and opponents' armies.
And that's why I feel like this was the best introduction to 8th edition.
Yeah,
because you're
demons do what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can have an army of 3 bloodthirsters.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Dark Angels say what?
Yeah. No, I want to continue doing this, and we've done it since the beginning, is that club members get first dibs on tournament spots.
Yeah, because otherwise, what's the point of having a club?
Exactly. But I think that's really important, just to get... Yeah, exactly. Why would you join a club?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So here's something on just getting the word out. We've had other people do events for the club that actually struggle a little bit more with filling the event up, and I think just consistency of communication is a big thing. So whatever channel you're using, whether it's Facebook or email or whatever, just communicate often.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah,
Make those posts often. Get people excited. Don't just post the event on a Facebook page and leave it.
Yeah, we dumped the event. We talked to our players. Luckily it was an anticipated event, so it was easy. I am saying that this was on easy mode, but we were able to engage with the players before we got in there.
Yep.
That's something, honestly, that I learned the importance of from watching the guys at Astro. The way that they interact with their player base, so cool, so thoughtful, and makes me want to go to those events. And if we can emulate that, I think we are off to a great start.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say under communication as well, when you communicate, lead with vision. People don't care necessarily about the details of it. Okay, it's on Saturday. Okay, it's $20. Okay, it's whatever. That stuff, people will buy into a good vision, right? And so if they're like, oh, I get to play in some custom missions with a random ally every time, like, oh, and that can really get my brain working, and I'm just gonna have a good time. Like, that's what's selling me on it, right?
Yeah, well, it's honestly like one of the things in advertising. Like, why do I want to do this?
Yeah.
Why do I want to buy a Maytag? Why do I want to like use Tide? Why do I want to go to a doubles event? Like
Why
that,
do I want to have Broken Hipster from Indie Ale House?
because it tastes good. It makes me feel different than if I didn't drink it.
It's true. It ain't cheap though.
No,
No, it's not.
we're in the hole.
Yeah.
This podcast is putting me in the poorhouse.
Yeah, getting the word out. That's basically it. I like what Adam said there with the consistency of communication to others, and just keeping that energy going. Right. This one was easy. This one feeds into itself. People are stoked about it. They talk to each other about it. When we had like one person drop out for whatever reason, you know, another club member talked to another club member, and that spot was filled up right away.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is something too, just in processing events. Like, have a legacy event. Have an event that keeps going.
Yeah.
Which the only reason this one's popular is because we've done it before.
Yep.
And
Yep.
people knew it was a great time.
Exactly.
So
But not, to be fair, like we're gonna get to this in fun time, but new tournaments are not always a bad idea as well. But they have to follow these rules. So the next part, we have mission packs and event packs. So this is another important stuff that we just need to make sure really ties into communication. You need to let people know what's going on in terms of the actual mechanics. Right? What prizes are available, how people are being scored, what's important for them to be scored on. Because if you say, and this has happened to me before playing in tournaments before I've joined the club, and it's happened to friends of mine, they like will bust their balls to get an army painted and get it ready and get it good to go, and then they'll show up at an event and paint score is not even part of it.
Yeah, I think that is like getting the mission packs out is something that I want to lead with a little sooner, just because people like to have that. Yeah,
so we had a good conversation about some pros and cons of doing it different ways, and so maybe this is something that we should hash out.
Oh, for sure.
Live
We'll
here,
have
so.
it right now.
yeah. So the
Live. We are
We're
doing
live people.
this Friday morning at 2 a.m.
yeah, if you turn off your data, you won't hear us right now. We're streaming into your phone. We're in your ears. Oh my god, we're in people's ears. How do
We sound good. We sound good.
Well, sound okay.
No, we sound pretty good.
All right.
Nick does have a particular timbre to his voice.
I know, right?
I've heard that before.
And now we're all trying to do it. All right, but the mission packs. So a couple of people mentioned this to me after the event, that they would have liked to see them earlier, and they would have liked to take a look at the missions beforehand. I don't entirely think that getting them, like, the missions the way they're going to be done. I do like the idea of either giving a mission abstract. So mission 1 is going to be like a storming your enemy's fortress, or like pushing into your enemy's territory. So get ready to claim 1 or more objectives, blah, 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 with no secondaries given. Or
like no information about the secondaries given.
right.
And
Yes.
no specific information about how the primary objectives scored.
Yeah,
But,
it's
like-
just very narrative driven. Like, this is the story that it will be playing out.
Right. But like give a few keywords like objective,
Yeah,
like territory, so you get the idea. All right, I got to be on the other side of the board. I got to claim an objective. Or you give 3 missions, or you give, if you're playing 3 missions, send out 6, and it's like an exam. Like you have the questions in advance, but only 3 of these are going to be on the exam.
Yeah. I totally understand that, like that point, but I also really think there's something. We're talking about this now with the Astronomicon guys, because they're putting out discussions on how they want to run their events. And missions are honestly one of the biggest levelers in this game.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to like just give them out wholesale.
But my point is that, like, so not surprising people, but like revealing to people day of the missions that they're playing can really, like,
It's democratizing.
it democratizes things, because all of a sudden everyone's learning about this at once. For example, when we were looking over the lists, people were sending in. I actually wasn't looking over the list because I was playing in the game.
Yeah.
Paul did defer to me when he had some questions about what people were running.
Yeah, there was there were two instances where we got lists where I was like, these are going to struggle. And they're also, like, weirdly powerful. Not powerful, but, like, they are very singular in the direction they took.
Yeah.
Like 3 Bloodthirsters?
Like 3 Bloodthirsters? And, like, I just, mentioned it to Nick in a way that didn't reveal exactly what the army was and who was taking it. But I was like, hey, how do I have to flag this? And we just kind of hashed it out in a way that was like, well, he's going to struggle. Like, it is super powerful, but, like, he's not going to be able to claim all the objectives. Mm-hmm. There was a mini Demolisher tank list. Yep. That might have been painted silver with tons of hazard stripes. That Jay might have taken a look at for hours on end. And, I, like, looked at it and I thought about it and I was like, well, he's going to have, like, a hard time claiming objectives, but he's going to be able to blow people off those objectives pretty easily. Luckily we didn't get any lists that I had to send feedback on. I did mention to one player that looked like they missed an obvious advantage, but through talking to him, he was like, well, no, I can't really do that because I want to have these units in here, so...
I want to have a crazy gene stealer.
And the other flip side to that is that lots of really, really competitive tournaments, which, if you're not clear on this yet, we're not about that. All the power to you if you are. But seriously, come play some of our events with an open mind and see how much fun you have.
Man,
when they release the missions before people even start building lists, when you're building lists tailored to win the missions, I don't know, that's not 40K for me, right?
Yeah, that's not the way I like to play. Yeah. I have played a couple of, like, for lack of a better term, like, win at all cost players. It can be a ton of fun to, like, tool up your list, like, this is the cruelest thing that I can bring.
Yeah.
But a full day of that, like, you'd be different after.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
But I also, so I think, I don't know what direction the Frontline Gaming guys are going now that 8 this year, but the ITS missions were basically the same every time, right?
Yeah, they're the same every time.
So it's you're trying to do the primary, you're trying to do the Maelstrom, you're rolling every turn to see what you get, and it's an option of 2 or 3 things, right?
Yeah.
and yeah, like we saw it, 7th became a very, like, one-way type of army, and the same armies started showing up everywhere. Anyway,
forcing you to be mentally and tactically flexible in terms of your list building and how you approach the game, that's the sign for me of a good player. The person who can, like, show up day of, be taken completely off guard by a greased up servitor teleporting around the board, roll with it, and win, lose, just have fun playing the game.
Also, if we do this event again, we're going to have to add in new missions because we don't want people expecting greased up servitor.
There will always be the greased up servitor.
Well, it's such a funny idea.
It's such a funny idea.
Also, big shout out to Mike Chapman for painting up 6 greased up servitors.
Because he did do it for us, which was huge. Which was, and again, that's a fun little thing, right? Because we have the normal objectives for the first 2, and the last one, it's like, here's your greased up servitor. Oh, wow, it's real. Oh, it's real.
Oh, yeah, there's no imagination.
Slippery.
There is something to be said for, like, the ITS style where it's like, it's the same every time. So it's kind of like, it's almost more like a chess game, right? And so we have the same thing on both sides. And let's see who moves.
But that's not what Warhammer is, because factions are different. There's no. The only way you can even attempt to balance the game is by having not random, but very, very unique mission design. And I think I get why people like Maelstrom missions, because it kind of does that. Mm-hmm. Right? Because you don't know if you're going to have to blow your enemy off a table or hold on to objectives.
Drunk commander.
And that's why it's, again, the randomness can be a little annoying, but it's a good leveler.
Yeah. For for that type of mentality, where it's like literally tournament, like we want everything to be evened out, which 40K will never be that way. So let's stop dreaming about that. Like, why don't you just go play chess?
Yeah.
You know, like seriously. You have the same pieces on both sides.
You could paint a pretty cool chess set,
You really could.
or you could run your bare plastic chess set.
Or you could use your Warhammer models as
Chess pieces.
Get the heck
There's
out
enough
of town.
scat bikes out there to be pawns, I'm sure.
Womp, womp,
These
womp.
guys move 12 squares in any direction. Yeah, so that's how that stuff works. It's fun. I didn't receive any complaints. Did you receive any complaints? Just
I got some
pointers.
I got some feedback, which I'm very happy to have gotten, and
There will always be feedback,
yeah,
which there should be. We want feedback. We're also going to be sending out. It's so much stuff going on in my life right now. First week in August, there will be a survey sent out to all Hogtown club members, our end of the year survey. So you'll have your say if you didn't feel comfortable talking to Paul's scary face.
I'm not very nice.
You were not nice that day.
No, I snapped at poor Matt Schneider when he was like, I'm playing on this table again. And I just turned around and I was like, well, dude, it's 24 players. It's only 6 tables. I don't know what you expect me to do.
The recorder's like peaking.
Yeah,
I'll
it
fix
peaked
that.
out. Which brings us to day of. Now, this was Paul's first time running an event. I had run the last 3 or 4, so I really wanted to play in one. Yeah, it's not easy, is it?
Nope. Nope. A lot of people ask questions. There were a lot of like, hey, how's this rule work? And I would walk over. Not a lot, but there were like a couple instances of like, how's this work? And I'd be like, well, let's check the rule book. And then we would read it together and be like, yeah, that seems kind of cool, clear. But that being said, like there were, no major problems. With that, a couple of lessons I learned. You gotta be a little bit more strict with the time limits. We had and again, this speaks to the fact that it's 8th edition where turns can get longer.
Yep.
Especially in 4-player games, and everyone's learning their army. Like we're all sort of on the same page, more or less.
And doubles doesn't help either.
Right. Yeah. So, it was just something that we had to keep an eye on the clock. Also, if you're a TO, pack snacks, my dudes. I didn't Connor, God love his heart, rolled in with like a breakfast sandwich and a cup of coffee for me, and I was like, ooh, that was a hero right there. So I take back one of the times I called him a yellow-bellied snake. Just one. But yeah, I didn't eat the entire day, so by the end of it, I was like, uh-oh, you better eat a poutine real fast, my dude.
That's why when it was like, Adam, do you want to judge painting? I was like, yes, if you buy me lunch.
Yeah.
Not at this event. This is a previous event.
Yeah.
Getting stuff set up the night before
Yeah.
is also a huge deal. Because, again, you don't want to be in that, we got to do everything Saturday morning at 8:30. No. So I went. I knew Paul couldn't come, so
Yeah,
Chaz, myself, and Raph on Friday night, we went, set up the tables, got all the terrain we could, and packed them onto the tables, because I love me some terrain on my Warhammer tables. And we're not playing War Machine. It's got to be terrain.
Yeah, I gotta say, I really appreciate you three doing that. Chaz, good dude. Raph, sleeper MVP of the club. Just always there, putting in work. Can't say enough nice things about Raph, though I like to say mean things too. But yeah, I really appreciated that getting done. I was at Mini Wargaming, spreading the good news about Inches and Cubes and the Hogtown and Battle Brothers and all of this. What are we on? What? Encounter Wargaming.
Oh.
Man, we got a lot of names that we need to plug.
It's true.
We need to start consolidating some of these.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, this event ran very smoothly, besides the speed of play. And again, you were flexible. I would have liked to see you been a little more firm, but again, you can't be.
Yeah.
So it's tough. There was just some instances where some games were going half an hour, 45 minutes over the time limit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's honestly, you've got new players who don't know the tournament rules, but for anybody out there, if you come to an event, like, play fast. Try to play fast. And you might not make the best decisions, but you've got 20, in this particular event, you've got 20 other people waiting on you.
The thing with this one, too, is in previous events, you could go over and be like, you guys are running long, just do the assaults that matter, if this unit can't do it, you can't do that in 8th, because this activates, then I activate,
Exactly.
then you... Like you said before, it is... it's a more sensibly thought-out game, but it doesn't lend itself to having a speedy mode.
And there's nothing I hate more than the dice down rule.
No.
Yeah. Because if you are going second, you may have chosen to go second. And that might be your entire battle plan. And if a TO's like, nope, game's over, and you're like, well, what?
Yeah.
That person got to go one more time than me, then that completely defeats the entire purpose of playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last turn doesn't work. The next turn is the last turn is the only thing that's fair.
Yeah, that's what I stuck to. Like, I kept walking around being like, all right, 15 minutes to last turn. Which, that's... your next turn that starts in 15 minutes.
And that's why I got a little mad in the first game, because my opponents were like, they finished their turn. Like, that was the last turn. And I'm like, no. Paul said, like, the next turn is the last turn. He's like, yeah, during your turn. Now it's our turn. Next turn, last turn. And I'm like, no. We're finishing the next round. You can't just be like, you can't just push all your models onto the objective and be like, game's over.
That's not fun.
We had to go the other way around, where Paul was coming around saying, last turn we were like, we should probably do one more. And he's like, well, or you should wrap it up. And I was like, well, we could, but then we would win right now.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, fine, play another one.
Yeah. And, like, I didn't mind saying that to your table, because it was like, Paul Carvanis had like 4 models left.
With 3 of them bloodthirsters?
Nope.
No, that was the game that was my last game. It was me and Dave, the Dark Eldar dude, versus Rowan and Shane.
But you guys
we just got the objective, and I felt bad for them. I wanted them to have a turn to try and take it.
Yeah, and nobody cares if you push into lunch. It just means it's less time for you to eat.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I remember, like, who was it who was pushing into lunch in the first game? And they finished. They're like, I'm like, you guys have 10 minutes to go eat lunch for the next round.
Mike.
It was Mike. He's like, oh no!
Yeah, he was like, I gotta run.
Set yourself up for a win just as a tournament player. This is not like a running a tournament thing. Do all of your pregame stuff as quick as possible. Like, don't dilly around. Because we have this tendency to, like, take our time and want to be strategic. Because we're like, it's a whole new game. It's a whole new round. Like, gotta win this one. I did either so good in my last one, so I want to keep that streak going, or I did so bad, so I have to make up for it. Yeah. So I need to, like, be smart and then take a really long time deploying and rolling those first turn dice and la la la. Yeah. It's like, just do that stuff fast. Yeah. Like, let's play the game.
Make sure you have multiple copies of your army list. Make sure you can show stuff to your opponent. Make sure, like, I use Battlescribe. I have stuff printed off. I have it on my phone, on my iPad, have it in text format, so if Battlescribe crashes, and just have it there for people to look at, and so you to look at when you're actually deploying, because, I got like 24 different lists on my Battlescribe, right? So you can't always remember what's going on. Mm-hmm. So just, that's another thing, because you were talking about pregame. Knowing what you're playing,
if you can,
especially as a new player, know what you're bringing.
Yeah, if you can have that printed off, if you can have it written down somewhere just to point at, it helps. It helps a lot.
This just came to mind. Was there anything else on that from you guys?
No, I think that's it for day of stuff.
Yeah. Snacks, huge.
And getting the energy good.
Mm-hmm. This came to mind for being the tournament organizer, so this was you last time, is just being consistent with the calls. Like, I don't know how it was for you.
There weren't a ton of calls to make, and the ones I did make, no one
questioned it.
Yeah, it was just like, that's how it is. Sorry, guys. Like, I see your interpretation of the rules, but the way that we're playing it today is this.
What was do you have an example of that?
I think it was consolidating in combat, where it's like you have to go towards, like, you can move a guy, but he has to move closer to.
He has to end the move closer to the nearest enemy.
Right. So you can you can do that, provided you can make space for another model to move in, provided that he is closer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and it's just like I think where it was such a clutch charge in that game, they just wanted to make sure that they were doing it above board. And honestly, kudos to those players for...
That's what you're there for.
Yep.
Don't ever feel bad for asking a TO.
No.
And if your opponent gets salty and weird because you say, "Oh, I just want to ask for clarification," if you don't be that person.
Yeah. Just be like, hey,
not everyone's an expert.
Yeah.
Honestly, you can smooth those waters pretty easily by like saying, "Listen, we both have skin in this game. Let's get the third party that is running this."
And actually, I like how there's only 8 pages of rules to have to look through. So
Yeah,
it's actually
way more than that. That's such bullshit.
You look at the data sheet and you look at the 8 pages of rules. And if you can't figure it out inside of 2 minutes, ask the TO.
Well, there's the advanced rules.
Yeah.
Plus the rules for the missions.
Plus, hey, don't throw things.
just when
don't make me TO.
When they're all just like,
Take it away
there's only 8 pages of rules.
God.
I was just like, actually, there's way more because you've got like the faction specific rules, then you've got the mission rules, then you've got the advanced rules. Are we dealing with cover? What type of cover are we dealing with?
You're a real buzzkill.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there with the cover thing.
Yeah.
No,
I gotta say, one of the biggest lessons, and I said it right off the top, is that we've got a great club. We got good players. We got good people coming in and out of this place all the time.
Yes, and hopefully staying in. Last thing I have here is prizes, and people don't come to an event or a tournament unless there's prizes.
Yeah.
And in our situation's a little unique because we're in a position where, because of Sword and Board being a sponsor, we don't actually have to pay for space. Most times when you're doing a tournament, you are actually renting the space to do it. We basically just give store credit as prizes.
Yeah, so it's like quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Right there. I think, especially with a doubles tournament, I want to do more prizes.
Yes, for sure.
Just like double the amount of prizes.
Yep.
I'm happy to cut how much is awarded in half.
Oh, of course.
Except for the butcher prize. The butcher prize cannot be split unless we cut the meat right in front of people.
There's a lesser butcher prize.
Yes.
Fight over the steak.
It will please me.
But yeah, so we like to break it down. We went over who won the tournament. Best overall, best ally, best sportsman, best painted, butcher, and then the Dice Chucker Award.
Yeah.
As we get bigger as a club and get more sponsors and more stuff going on, having things like door prizes and little fun games is also great. Are you drawing battle droids from Star Wars now?
Yeah, and like
I've played one. So we played dice curling for one of the door prizes that Sword and Board donated. How did you guys find that?
I loved it because I won.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah,
it was so funny. I was like, listen, people, you're all Canadian. You know how to play curling. And Rowan just looked at me and just like mouthed, no.
It's English.
Yeah, I was like, not you, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So what we did is...
Even Jay, I was like, the instructions were go find your most unique dice and then, bring it to the side of the room or something like that?
Yeah.
And I told Jay, I was like, Jay, they're giving away free stuff. Go get your most unique dice. And he looked at me with the weirdest look. I was like, what's so confusing about this? Go get your dice. I had to tell him 5 times.
Yeah, but like, he was probably like, I'm being judged on my dice?
Some people were like, this is a really cool dice. I'm like, that's great.
That's what I was doing. It's like, I have a pirate dice.
Neat. Now throw it at that box of stuff.
So we set... This was just to buy Paul a little bit of time to enter the final scores, but we set the prize up at the far end of the room and had people throw their dice at it, and whoever got it closest without hitting it won. And let me tell you, dice bounce. They're like perpetual motion little things.
Yep.
Cubes?
They just go flying when they hit the ground.
Many, many inches?
Those cubes go many inches.
They just go ping. I hope everyone got their dice after throwing them at the box.
Oh, yeah.
But Adam, did you slide it?
It was a really light underhand. Low to the ground.
That's
so
the trick.
less bouncing.
Yeah.
That's how to do it.
That's how to do it.
Get that grounder.
It's all on the wrist.
So yeah, it was great. Thank you so much, Paul, for running it.
Like, honestly, you can't do it without everyone showing up and, like, everyone being cool about it. Our players made it really easy.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome, buddy. And then the best part was we went out afterwards and...
Got obliterated.
Yeah. Drank a lot of beer, had some terrible, terrible food, and lived to tell the tale the next day. Barely.
I had to go play that pink horror list.
Right after?
Yep.
Yeah, I was lying in bed texting you when you were playing that list, and I was like, why is Paul talking about pink horrors? And I'm like, oh no, he has to play a Warhammer game. I haven't gotten out of bed yet.
No, I got up, ate a cracker, and I was like, you got this.
And then Connor texted me pictures of his dim sum meal the next day. I was like, I'm so jealous.
So jealous.
So that's it for running an event. That's pretty much the basics. I don't think it could have gone any better.
Did we have fun?
I had a blast.
I had a time.
A fun time?
A fun time.
So what are some, what would you guys like to see in the next tournament or event that we run as a club?
I really want to see a Shadow War event. Like,
That's happening.
so I'm excited for it, is what I'm saying.
Are you going to plan it?
I think so.
It'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd like to see Necrons in Shadow War.
Yeah, I haven't seen them.
Honestly, I haven't played a game of Shadow War
No,
since it's come out.
I've never played a game of Shadow War.
It's just that, like, by the time that I had my...
Like, why did they release Shadow War and then 2 months later release 8th edition, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think it just killed Shadow War.
Mm-hmm.
We got some cool terrain out of the deal.
That's true.
We gotta paint that up for the club. Oh my
So
god.
you want to see Shadow War stuff. What are you thinking of, Adam?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wanted to run a summer campaign where it's actually probably pretty close to the Battle of Conor.
Can we call it Summer Camp -Pain?
Womp, womp, womp.
And so the idea...
Stop making that face.
Have you guys poked around on the website for the Conor stuff?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a unique mission with unique stratagems each week.
Yeah, they send the envelope to the store. There's a special looking envelope at Sword and Board right now with the Artemius system on it, and you open it up on the 27th, and it has the rules for the mission and the battle zone.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
They also post it online.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's
The
cool.
paper's better.
It's nice to get mail.
That's actually how it should be.
Makes you feel special.
I never get mail anymore, man.
Right? So isn't it nice that G-Dubs is out
Toronto
there?
Hydro being like, we're gouging you again this month.
Haha, I live off the grid.
No, you don't.
No, of course not.
I just was like, I was super excited because they did the whole Gathering Storm stuff, and I would have loved for everyone to kind of like build their armies towards this like climactic event that's going on in the fluff, you know, and so to kind of represent all that stuff on the tabletops and have fun painting up some new characters for everybody's army, and just to see armies grow over time, and have to face unique missions week in and week out. Would have been really fun. And so I bet we could, if the summer's basically over now, but maybe in the fall.
Well, it starts July 27th.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe it just is more talking about how we can make it work for us.
Yeah.
But it's very store centric, and like it's a top down run event.
Yeah.
Type things. It's very controlled, and so we would have to work on how we could basically make it work for us.
I think it's just people just have to know that it's there and report their games. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
All the stuff's there. I really want to just do a no holds barred 8th edition 2,000 point tournament. Because to figure out how tournaments are going to be run from here on out, I think we need to see what people are going to do. See what breaks it, see what's not fun, see what makes the games take forever. Just, rule book missions, and tell people that, hey man, if you're running a Battle-Forged army, bring what you got and let's see how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah. I love it.
Because I think, and here's the thing, we were talking about this as well. We always include sportsmanship score, and usually even army sportsmanship score.
Yeah.
And I think if we continue the trend of weighting gameplay, painting, and sportsmanship the same, that the club and the players who come to our events should self-police themselves if they are looking for that overall win.
Yeah, I'm not worried about people except for you, the way they build lists.
I was nowhere close to the top for best battle score there, buddy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm looking over at your painting desk and I'm seeing an awful lot of glowing plasma.
I'm actually... I've always kind of been like, I'll play anything, you know? Like, I don't care if it's super cheesy, like, as long as you're a nice guy while you're beating my face into the ground, like, I'll have a good time. But even more so in 8th edition, I feel like I'll just take anything because anything's good. Like, or sorry, I'll take on anything. Like, everything's good.
Yep.
Like, everything I have in my army, I never feels like, this is, like, underpowered, or I'm, like, getting gypped on my army list here, like, being a Sisters player.
Yeah.
I feel that for a while. Like, I feel like everyone's on a level playing field, and we all have this, like, good options to choose from, and so let's just have fun with it. And even if it is cheesy, it'll just be fun seeing it happen once.
Cheese is delicious.
It is delicious. I like a nice brie.
Yeah, exactly. Just exactly at seeing what breaks the game.
Mm-hmm.
Already we've seen the rise and fall of the Storm Raven lists.
Yeah, which is beautiful.
But I've already figured out how to win games with Storm Ravens, and that you take Inquisition with one Acolyte, and you put one Acolyte in one in each of the 5 Storm Ravens, and then you can't lose the game.
Is that how it was? Or I thought it was models on the table.
No. It's because technically they're still in play.
But they're not on the table.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah, it's fine. It works. It's
Fine.
fine. Yep.
100-point
I
acolyte.
mean, or just take like 100 conscripts.
They're like 4
and fly
points.
your Storm Ravens around.
Exactly, right? So there's ways to get around it, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes forward. Again, I just encourage anyone who comes out to any club events to follow the attitude of the other person on the other side of the table has to be having fun as well.
Yeah.
And cheese is, what did you say earlier, Adam? It's a matter of intent. Power gaming and cheesy is a matter of intent and how you play it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd sign off on that.
It's an issue in the heart of the heart.
Yep.
Yeah.
So be a good person. Play every game at every tournament.
Like it's your last game.
No, in a way that will make the other person want to play you again.
Yeah. Play it like your mom's in the room.
Actually, this is a good point on just tournament design, if we can backtrack to pre-fun time.
I would love to.
Having a army composition score and having a sportsmanship score are 2 interesting elements, because you, like, a person can show up with like an absolute jerk face list and you dock them on composition, but they're a really nice guy, and you, like, I would still maybe play them again. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, well, that's why there's army sportsmanship, right?
Yeah.
So in Astronomicon, and we've done it before as well, uses player and army sportsmanship. And there have been times where I've given people a 5 for player sportsmanship and a 0 for army sportsmanship. And there's been times where I've given somebody a 5 for army sportsmanship and a 0 for player sportsmanship.
Yeah.
It's like, your list sucks. And so do you.
Just because you offered me a Heineken doesn't make me want to be your pal.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, anyway,
That's it.
what were we talking about before that?
Just tournaments.
Yeah.
They're fun. They're difficult to run because you're trying to balance pleasing a whole bunch of different people.
Yep.
And that's what eventually comes down to, is you do have to find that balance that gives the most enjoyment to the most people. Any final thoughts, gentlemen, for today?
No, man.
I'm enjoying all Paul's doodles.
Yeah,
That's my final
He's
thought.
really doodling.
It's what I...
Who's that dude with an axe?
Oh, it's just some guy with an axe.
Alright. Who's that dude with a weird pig nose?
It's just some pig news dude. You know how it goes.
I've never seen you do the doodles before.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of free time while you guys were talking about games.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on week 11.
Oh, this was where we were getting at. Events we would like to see. Did everyone mention it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I think this is a shout out to everybody else out there.
I was just about to say that.
Oh, you were going to say it?
Yeah.
Let us know what events you want.
Yeah, let us know what events you want to see. Let's hear some ideas. If you want to run an event, we will help you run it.
Heck
Come
yeah.
to us. We will give you the support, give you advice, and get it going. If you're new to the club, if you're an old member, we want to see you guys have input into how things are run, and the best way you can have input is by running it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the people whose input gets listened to are the people who actually execute.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a 24-person tournament. If you want to run an Apocalypse game with 8 people, or just have a 10-person mini tournament one day where there's no club fees and you just show up, 10 people show up and play 2-3 games.
That's fun.
That's fun. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
Call Paul at 416
Don't give out this number.
289.
No.
Really?
What?
I was close.
You were close.
289.
No, 383.
That's not close at all.
Nope.
You said it.
The last 4 are just 5555. Yeah, that's 5 5s. 4 5s. How's the phone number work? Oh, God. Are we done now?
No, you find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram. Find us on...
The street.
It's true. Sword and Board, Brock and Bloor.
Yeah, behind the pizza.
Saturdays.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
No, the best way to actually have us listen to you is by doing it on Facebook when
Yep.
we post out the podcast link.
Yep.
Yeah, post on there. Get your say in. And we hope to see you out there.
Speaking of which, thank you to everybody who posted in reply to the Inspiration podcast.
Oh yeah, that was cool to read through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna go back and do some specific shout-outs
Yeah.
in a later episode.
I told Jason he'd write a blog article about it. So, Jason, hey, next blog article. Get it done.
Yeah. Wake up, Jason.
Cool.
All right, that's all for this Tuesday night. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Spent a lot of time with you guys in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's not looking any different either.
Nope, definitely not.
All right, everybody out there in podcast land, you drive safe. You get home. Tell people you care about. Oh my God, Nick. Nick, you're killing me.
Have a good night, guys.
Just turn it off. This has been and will remain Paul Mr. Fist Fowler.
Point and click, Nick.
And Adam Truax, the truest axe to ever axe an axe.
And thanks for joining us. And check back again soon for some more 40K goodness. And remember, it's just inches and cubes.
Like a monkey in a rocket on his way back home.